There are wounds that do not bleed but weigh heavy, and the worst part is that many times they are not ours. We carry the pain of others, their actions, their indifference, their decisions. We hand them the remote control of our emotions, as if we had the obligation to suffer for what they do, say, or fail to do. We break inside waiting for them to change, to return, to give us an explanation, or at least an apology. But that doesn't always happen, and while we wait, we fall apart. The problem is not just the pain, but the attachment we have to the suffering that people cause us. Because it hurts, yes, but it also traps us. We stay tied to stories, to promises, to bonds that long ago stopped nourishing us. And there we are, ruminating on the past, analyzing every gesture, every word, as if that were going to give us peace. But today, we are not here to cry. Today, we are here to cut those chains, to stop idealizing suffering as if it were a sign of love, commitment, or loyalty. Stoic philosophy offers us a way out, not a magic formula, but a brutally honest and powerful perspective. If suffering is in your mind, so is your freedom. This video is not for those seeking empty comfort. It is for those who are ready to face the truth, to look at their pain head-on without anesthesia and take control. We are going to talk about 8 Stoic lessons that will teach you to stop suffering for others. 8 ideas that are not only understood, they are practiced. Because if you do not bring them into your daily life, then all of this is for nothing. So take a deep breath. You are going to hear things that are uncomfortable, but also things that liberate. 1. Don't give them the credit for your pain. Every time you say they hurt me, you're giving away power. You're giving someone else control over your emotional state, as if it were their right to manage how you feel. And there lies the mistake. Not because what they did doesn't hurt, but because when you let another person be the cause of your constant suffering, you're giving up your most valuable power, the dominion over yourself. The Stoic philosophy is clear on this. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to us that affects us, but what we think about what happens to us." And do you know what that implies? That your pain doesn't come directly from someone's action, but from how you choose to interpret it, feed it, and relive it over and over again in your head. It's not about denying the initial pain, disappointments, betrayals, indifference. They hurt. We're human. But prolonged suffering, the one that stays for months, even years, that's a choice. Because you remain tied to the thought that that person should have acted differently, that they owed you something. Respect, love, care, consideration. And when that doesn't happen, it doesn't just hurt, it chains you. But why keep giving them that credit? Why allow someone who didn't know how to value you also have the privilege of breaking you from afar? It's hard to accept, but if you're still suffering for what that person did, it's not their fault anymore. It's your decision. Marcus Aurelius said it bluntly, "You have power over your mind, not over events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It's that strength that you need to regain. Because as long as you keep pointing at others as the ones responsible for how you feel, you're going to continue being a slave to their actions. And the saddest part is that, many times, those people aren't even thinking about you. They move on with their life while you consume yourself in silence. So, what to do? First, recognize your part. Not the guilty part, but the part that allows. The part that keeps reopening the wound every day with thoughts like, why did they do this to me? Why didn't they value me? That repetition is poison. You're mentally repeating a scene where you always lose, and every time you do, you reinforce your identity as a victim. Second, regain narrative control. What story are you telling yourself about what happened? Are you the person who was abandoned, betrayed, despised? Or can you be the person who was put to the test, who survived the blow, and who now decides not to live on their knees for something that can no longer be changed? Changing the internal language is key. It's not, they destroyed me. It's, they showed me who they are and I learned to strengthen myself. Third, Stop expecting emotional repair from the one who hurt you. Sometimes there are no apologies, there's no justice, there's no explanation. And that's where Stoic philosophy comes in as a shield. If you can't control the external, invest all your power in the internal. What can you do today, now, to stop repeating that suffering? You can let go. You can train your mind not to fall into the same mental traps. You can surround yourself with people who lift you up, not sink you. This advice is not about becoming insensitive. It's about regaining your dignity. Because pain, when held too long because of others, turns into self-abandonment, and you didn't come into this life to destroy yourself for anyone. So yes, it hurt. But today, you decide that you're not going to give them more credit, that your pain will no longer be the result of what someone else did, but the energy you're going to use to rebuild yourself. 2. Let go of the rope of what does not depend on you. There's something you need to understand once and for all. You're suffering because you're clinging. Clinging to control what is not yours, what is not in your hands, what simply does not depend on you. It's like being in a war, tightly holding a rope that burns, bleeds, and scorches. And yet, you don't let go. The result? You destroy yourself from the inside while trying to change someone who doesn't even want to change. The Stoics were brutally clear on this point. Epictetus said it without embellishment. There are things that depend on us and things that do not, and only a fool spends his life worrying about what he cannot control. Do you realize, every time you obsess over what another person feels for you, what they should do, say, acknowledge or change, you're in foreign territory. You're trying to rule a kingdom that doesn't belong to you, and that's killing you. It's like trying to push the sea with your hands. You exhaust yourself, you get frustrated, and in the end you're still soaked, drowned, defeated. Because no matter how hard you try, you can't control people. You can't make someone love you. You can't force them to understand you, or to stay, or to treat you as you deserve. You can ask for it, you can wish for it, but in the end, it depends on them. And living in the hope that the world will act as you want is a sure recipe for suffering. So, what can you do? Let go of the rope, not in resignation, but in wisdom. Because letting go is not giving up, it's protecting yourself. It's about stopping fighting useless battles and redirecting your energy towards the only thing that has always been yours: your mind, your decisions, your life. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than anyone. He was an emperor, but he knew that his real power was not in ruling the Roman Empire, but in ruling himself. Choose not to be hurt, and you won't be. Don't feel hurt, and you haven't been. Does it seem radical? It is, but it's also liberating, because as long as you depend on the behavior of others to be okay, you're going to live tied up. The solution is not to harden or become indifferent. The solution is to discern. Learn to look at a situation and ask yourself, does this depend on me? If the answer is no, then act accordingly. Are you being ignored? It doesn't depend on you. Were you let down? It doesn't depend on you. Don't they value what you give? That also doesn't depend on you. What does depend on you is what you do with it. Do you stay? Do you leave? Do you destroy yourself or rebuild yourself? That's the core of Stoic power. Learning to let go without ceasing to feel. To accept without resigning, to live without needing to control every outcome, because in that intelligent surrender lies your peace. You stop wearing yourself out trying to change what simply doesn't correspond to you. And yes, it's hard, because letting go is scary. We were taught that letting go is losing, but the truth is that letting go is gaining space. It's making room for you, for your calm, for your clarity. Because the more time you invest in holding the unsustainable, the less energy you'll have to build what can flourish. So let go. Let go with anger if necessary. Let go crying if need be, but let go. Because as long as you keep holding that rope, you'll keep bleeding. and no one else is going to come and let go for you. That's something only you can do. 3. Change the script that destroys you. Your mind repeats a story over and over again, like a cursed movie that you can't stop watching, even though you already know the ending. It's that internal dialogue that tells you that you weren't enough, that if you had acted differently, maybe you wouldn't have been hurt, that if you changed something about yourself, that person would come back. That silent, invisible script is destroying you. And the worst part of all, it's not even yours. It was imposed on you from the outside. Past experiences, words from people who didn't know how to love you, rejections, betrayals, silences, they all burned it into you. You got used to seeing yourself through the eyes of those who didn't know how to look at you. And now, without realizing it, you repeat in your head exactly what they thought of you. But there's a truth you can't keep ignoring. You can't heal if you keep living within the same narrative that broke you. Stoic philosophy constantly reminds us that it's not the facts that hurt us, but the judgments we make about those facts. In other words, it wasn't the person who left who destroyed you. It was the meaning you gave to their departure. Every time you tell yourself, "I wasn't enough," you're writing a script of defeat. Every time you ask yourself, "Why didn't they choose me?" you're reinforcing the idea that you're only worth something if others validate you. And that's a trap, a prison, a lie. And do you know what's the worst part? If you don't change that narrative, you're going to repeat it in every relationship, every bond, every moment of your life. Because unresolved pain becomes a pattern, and the pattern becomes an identity. You end up believing that you're this broken, weak, insufficient person, when in reality you're simply trapped in a script you never questioned. The Stoics didn't deny pain, but they didn't cling to it either. Their power was in reinterpreting reality, in changing the lens through which they viewed what happened to them. Epictetus was a slave, and yet he claimed he was free. Why? Because he understood that no one can chain you more than you chain yourself. And you're doing it every time you repeat that internal narrative that crushes you. So how do you change the script? First, detect it. Listen to your internal dialogue. Be brutally honest. What do you tell yourself when you look in the mirror? What do you think when that person doesn't respond? What story are you telling yourself about yourself? Because it's not just about what happened, but how you explain it to yourself. Second, challenge it. Is that thought yours, or did you inherit it from someone who didn't know how to love you? Does that conclusion help you or destroy you? Does that judgment bring you closer to the person you want to be or push you away? You have to be brave to confront your own thoughts and tell them, "I don't need you anymore." Third, rewrite it, not with empty phrases of cheap self-esteem, but with truth. You are not who you were at your worst moment. You are not what they did to you. You are not what someone incapable of seeing you projected onto you. You are the one who chooses to take that pain and turn it into strength. You are the one who decides from today on not to keep acting in a story that slowly kills you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." And those thoughts are fed by the script you repeat every day. If you don't like how this story ends, change the script. Because the person who can transform your life is not the one who hurt you. It's you. 4. Be a witness to your storm, not its prisoner. There are days when everything seems to burn inside. The mind won't shut up, the chest tightens, memories attack without warning. You want to stop thinking about that person, about what they did, what they didn't say, what they broke. But you can't, because you're trapped. Not in the facts, but in your internal storm. That storm that you yourself are feeding. What few tell you is that feeling is not the problem. The problem is identifying with what you feel. It's believing the pain. It's assuming that if you're broken, then you're doomed. And it's not like that. Pain is an experience. Intense, hard, devastating at times. But it's not your identity. It's not who you are. It's something you go through, not something that defines you. The difference between being a prisoner and being a witness lies in a single gesture: observing instead of reacting. When you're trapped in the storm, everything turns against you. Each thought becomes a new wound, each memory a stab. You react with anger, with sadness, with anxiety. You despair, you tangle, you sink, and you don't even realize that all this is not happening outside of you. It's happening within. But there's another way, a harder one, yes, but infinitely more powerful. Observe. Don't escape. Don't run. Don't distract yourself. Observe what's happening inside you as if you were watching a movie, without trying to stop it, without judging yourself. Just be there, present, feeling everything without letting it destroy you. You're not the storm. You're the one watching it pass by. This sounds simple, but it's hard, because it involves facing the pain without anesthesia. Sitting in silence with your mental chaos without seeking refuge in blames, justifications, or fantasies of reconciliation. It involves accepting that there are things that are not going to change, that there are people who are not going to come back, that there are wounds that are not going to close with sweet words, but with inner strength. And there, at that brutal point, something curious happens. The storm begins to lose strength, because you're no longer pushing it, nor running from it. You're holding it. You're breathing it. You become someone who doesn't need to stop feeling to be okay. Someone who can cry without breaking, who can get angry without exploding, who can remember without reliving the trauma over and over again. The key is not to fight against what you feel, not to demand yourself to be okay all the time, to give yourself permission to be vulnerable without becoming a victim. Because if every intense emotion drags you, then you have no control over yourself. And that's where you really lose. Being a witness is not being cold, it's being strong. It's having the courage to look at your pain with open eyes, without running away, without dramatizing, without manipulating it. It's learning to say, I'm feeling this, but it doesn't define me. I observe it, I let it be, and then I let it go. No one is going to come to rescue you from your storm. That's your task. No one is going to put out the fire for you, but you can learn not to burn with every spark, and that power is greater than any external comfort. 5. Draw your mental boundary and protect it. There is an invisible line that very few people learn to draw, a sacred barrier that separates your mental peace from the chaos that others try to sow in your life. And if you don't learn to draw that boundary, you'll end up letting anyone walk into your head with dirty feet. You have to understand this. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves a response, an explanation, a second chance. Your mind, your energy, your emotional space, they are not public property. They are personal territory, and if you don't defend it, it will be invaded. And the worst part is that you will be the one who left the door open. When someone treats you with indifference, when they manipulate, blackmail, blame, or emotionally drag you, they don't always do it with malice. Sometimes they are not even aware. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that you allow it. Because you didn't draw your limit, because you got used to putting others' emotions before your own, because you thought that to love is to endure. And no, love is not allowing yourself to be dragged. Drawing your mental boundary is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of respect towards yourself. It is looking at someone and saying, even if silently, not here. This is as far as you go. My peace is not negotiable. And this includes family, friends, partners, ex-partners, bosses, whoever. No one has the right to trample on your dignity. But it's not just about setting boundaries outward, it's also about setting boundaries inward. Because often you are the one who crosses the line and sabotages yourself. You are the one who writes back to someone who doesn't treat you well. You who relive conversations, idealize moments, get stuck on the what if. And that is an even more dangerous invasion. when you yourself break your boundary. So how do you draw this line? First, identify what steals your peace. People, conversations, thoughts, habits. Make a real list. Stop romanticizing toxic bonds. If it leaves you restless, if it makes you doubt your worth, if it mentally consumes you, then it is something that should be outside your internal space. Second, establish consequences. A boundary without consequence is not a boundary, it's a suggestion. It's not enough to say, "I don't want you to talk to me like that," if you then allow it. It's not enough to say, "This bond hurts me," if you keep seeking it. Your decisions must be firm, even if they hurt, because if you don't respect your boundary, no one else will. Third, defend it every day, because it's not enough to draw it once. There will be tests, people who return, emotions that insist, memories that hit. And that's where you must hold the limit as if your life depended on it. Because in a way it does. Your mental health, your self-esteem, your future, everything is at stake. The boundary is not to distance you from the world. It's to bring you closer to yourself, to stop losing yourself by pleasing, by fitting in, by begging for emotional crumbs. It's your space, your mind, your balance. No one has the right to soil that. And if someone is bothered by your limit, that person never respected your value. So draw it, clearly, firmly, proudly. And when they try to cross it, remember, you're not being harsh, you're being fair to yourself. 6. Love without chains. Let go without breaking. Love shouldn't hurt, but many times it does. Why? Because we confuse love with possession, with dependence, with control. We turn love into a kind of unspoken contract where the other person has the responsibility to make us happy, to fill our voids, to hold our insecurities, and that's how suffering is born. Loving without chains is not coldness, it's emotional maturity. It's understanding that real love doesn't need cages, it doesn't demand absurd sacrifices, it doesn't hold on at the expense of oneself. Free love is not the one that ignores, but neither is the one that crawls. It's the one that chooses consciously, not from the fear of losing. Do you know why so many people suffer when letting go? Because they built themselves around that person. They gave them so much value, so much space, so many expectations, that when they left, they took everything. And the emptiness was not only due to the absence, it was because they had abandoned themselves in the process. But love shouldn't be losing yourself. You shouldn't stop being you to keep someone else. Because then, it's not love, it's need. And need chains you. It makes you weak. It makes you addicted to a presence that, deep down, you know is not doing you any good. Loving without chains is giving without losing. It's sharing without depending. It's caring without controlling. It's being present without demanding permanence, because nothing and no one belongs to you. And if you forget it, every time someone moves away, you're going to break. Now, letting go without breaking doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It means that even though it hurts, you don't destroy yourself. That even though you cry, you don't lose your center. That even though you miss, you don't go back. Because you've learned that letting go is also loving. Loving enough to let go of what no longer flows. Loving enough not to retain someone who no longer wants to stay. It's not easy. Letting go requires more courage than holding on, because attachment is comfortable, familiar, but it's also a prison with pretty pictures and memories that hurt. Getting out of there is not abandoning. It's choosing yourself. When you learn to love without chains, you understand that your value is not measured by who stays. It's measured by how you stand, even when love hurts. Because yes, love can hurt, but it shouldn't destroy you. And if it does, then it wasn't healthy love. It was something else. So love freely, give without losing your identity, and if the time comes to let go, do it with dignity. not out of coldness, but out of respect, because whoever has themselves never completely breaks. 7. Step onto the battlefield with your shield up. Life is not going to wait for you. It's not going to ask if you're okay, if you're feeling strong, if you're ready. People won't either. Out there, there's indifference, there's judgment, there's betrayal, there's rejection. And if you go out unarmed with your heart exposed and your mind unprepared, they will tear you apart. You can't keep facing the world expecting everyone to be fair, empathetic, or loyal. They won't be. And not necessarily because they're bad people, but because each one carries their own story, their shortcomings, their selfishness. And if you don't protect yourself, if you don't shield yourself, you end up being the constant victim on the emotional battlefield. This point is not about becoming cold or distrustful. It's about being strategic. It's about going out with your shield up, with your mind clear, with your boundaries well defined, with your self-esteem intact. Because if you don't prepare, every foreign word becomes a dagger, every silence a threat, every absence an open wound. The shield is not so that no one touches you, it's so that what touches you doesn't destroy you, so that you don't give yourself completely to the first kind glance, so that you don't repeat the mistake of opening up without measure just because someone shows you a bit of affection. You can't keep being vulnerable with someone who hasn't proven to be worthy of that. The emotional world is a battlefield, and if you go without a shield, you're going to get full of wounds. You're going to live mending your soul at every corner, hoping that someday someone will treat you as you deserve, when in reality, that treatment starts with you. If you don't respect yourself, no one will. If you don't protect yourself, no one is going to come and do it. There's a brutally honest phrase, people treat you the way you teach them to treat you. And if what you teach is that you endure everything, that you forgive everything, that you stay even if they tear you apart, then that's what you're going to get. Not because you deserve it, but because you didn't put up your shield. The shield is your judgment. It's your strength. It's your ability to see clearly beyond desire, beyond impulse. It's what tells you, this is not good for me, even when your heart screams the opposite. It's that part of you that doesn't negotiate with what it already knows hurts it. Going out with your shield up is loving yourself enough not to give in to the first lukewarm hug. It's remembering that protecting yourself is not weakness, it's survival. And that whoever really wants to be in your life won't complain about your boundaries. They will respect them. So go out into the world, yes, but don't go out without you. Don't go out unarmed, because you deserve to love, grow, and live in peace. And that starts with the shield held firm, held high, and truly yours. 8. Use your wounds as a map, not as an excuse. We all carry scars. Some are visible, others are not. There are wounds that still burn when you think about that person, that moment, that betrayal that changed you forever. But what you do with those wounds makes the difference between moving forward or staying stuck in the same old pain. Many people live inside their wound. They turn it into identity, into an excuse. I am this way because I was hurt. I don't trust because I was betrayed. I don't love because I was broken. And yes, it hurt. Yes, it was unfair. But if every step you take is conditioned by what was done to you, then you are not walking forward. You are running from your past. You are not here to justify your pain. You are here to transform it. Every wound is a signal. It is showing you where you placed your worth, where you gave too much, where you ignored signs. And that doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. But continuing to use those wounds as justification to avoid growth, to not try again, to close yourself off to everything, that does make you a prisoner. Wounds are not chains. They are lessons. They are warnings. They are opportunities to redraw your path with more clarity. If someone broke you, it doesn't mean everyone will. But it does mean that you need to walk more alert, with more discernment, with more self-love. There are people who live reliving their pain over and over again just to have an excuse not to move forward. I find it hard to trust becomes I completely close myself off. I'm afraid to suffer again turns into I don't allow myself to feel anything. And so what was once a real wound is now a self-imposed prison. But you are not broken, you are marked. And those marks can guide you. If you listen to them wisely, you can look back and recognize the mistakes without judging yourself, without punishing yourself, without making them your only story. You are not just what you suffered. You are what you do with that suffering. Every time a wound becomes an excuse, ask yourself, is this protecting me or is it limiting me? Because if your wound is no longer teaching you anything new, then it has become a justification for not growing. And you didn't come into the world to stay still because of what didn't work out. Look at your wounds, accept what hurt, cry if you need to, but then stand up with more clarity. Use that pain as a guide, not as an anchor, as a driving force, not as a brake, because every mark on your emotional skin can be a direction, a reminder of where not to go again. Your wounds are not your shame. They are your map, and if you know how to read it, there's no way you can get lost again. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment, "I am Stoic," as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.